My mom didn't call. She didn't even pause. She just sent a text. Please don't come. The family wants a drama-free wedding. A moment later, my sister Serena liked it, as if my absence was some sort of favor to everyone. I stared at the screen, feeling something settle inside me. A quiet break, you don't hear but remember. I typed back, great choice. That was the moment I stopped being their safety net. They had no idea what came next. Before I explain everything, tell me where you're listening from, so I know I'm not the only one going through this. I wish I could say that message surprised me, but honestly, it only confirmed what I'd spent years avoiding. My name is Valentina, and in my family, I was never the favorite. Not even close. I was the dependable one, the organized one, the person who showed up with a plan and a payment method. That role was assigned long before I understood I didn't have to accept it. From the outside, we looked polished, almost admirable. My mother, Marissa, carried herself like someone born to host flawless events, her smile sharp enough to control a room. My father, Edward, moved through life quietly, stepping aside at any sign of tension. And then there was Serena, beautiful, admired, constantly excused. When she entered a room, people made space. When I walked in, they handed me tasks. The truth is, I didn't mind for a long time. I'm a project manager by profession. I like spreadsheets, schedules, color-coded lists. Structure makes sense to me. People don't always. So when the family asked me to help plan Serena's wedding, I agreed without hesitation. I managed the deposits, the venue coordination, the lighting team, the catering timeline. Every invoice came to me, and I paid it. Not because Serena earned it, but because my mother expected it. There was only one person who truly understood me: my grandmother. She listened in a way that made everything slow down. In her small garden behind the house, she would trim roses and tell me that strength isn't just carrying everything, but also knowing when to set something down. I didn't understand it then. I thought strength meant always saying yes. But as the wedding approached, small things kept tightening around me like strings someone else controlled. Marissa would praise Serena's decisions, then look at mine as if they were inconveniences. Edward kept saying how grateful Serena was, even though she had never thanked me once. And during one planning meeting, when I suggested adjusting the guest count to fit the budget, Serena didn't look up from her phone. She just sighed and said, Val, can't you just make it work? You always do. That sentence stayed with me for days. Still, I kept going. Before every major choice, I visited my grandmother, letting the calm of her home ground me. She sensed something was wrong, but I didn't want to add more worry to her life. She had already carried too much for this family. On the morning I got the text uninviting me, I was sitting in my apartment reviewing the final payment schedule. Sunlight hit the necklace my grandmother gave me, a small silver pendant she said meant clarity. It's strange how clarity often appears right before something breaks. That was the moment I understood I wasn't part of their celebration. I was financing it. And for the first time, that realization didn't hurt. It steadied me. In the days after that message, the group chat felt strangely curated. Too cheerful, too perfect, like they were performing Unity, one that didn't include me. That was the first sign. The second came disguised as excitement. Marissa announced she wanted a wedding week, a series of extra events to impress Serena's future in-laws. She said it casually, but her eyes drifted toward my grandmother's savings envelope on the counter. I froze. She tried to hide it, but I saw the intention. They wanted to use my grandmother's money, the small fund she saved for emergencies and guarded like something sacred. Mom, I said slowly, that isn't what that money is for. She blinked, acting confused. Valentina, don't be dramatic. Serena is only getting married once. I looked at Serena, hoping she would understand how serious this was. But she just shrugged, adjusting the sleeve of the dress I had quietly paid for. It's not a big deal, Val. Grandma doesn't even use that money. My stomach tightened. They had talked about this without me. Later that week, I took my grandmother to her dress fitting. She walked slowly but proudly, her hand warm in mine. While standing in front of the mirror, smoothing the fabric over her hips, she whispered, I heard your mother talking. They're planning things without you. Her voice had that fragile truthfulness I recognized instantly. I swallowed, unsure how to respond. The fitting assistant called us over before I could speak. 2 days later, Everything made sense. I stopped by Marissa's house to drop off the finalized rehearsal dinner schedule. Serena was on the couch, her phone raised, her thumb hovering over the group chat. "Oh," she said when she saw me. "Didn't know you were coming." Her tone wasn't hostile, just indifferent. Marissa glanced at me. "We're confirming the seating chart. Serena found a better layout than the one you sent." Better, not kinder or more practical, just better because Serena made it. Then Serena's screen lit up with my mother's message, the same one that uninvited me, and right there, in front of me, Serena tapped the little heart next to it. One small like. It made no sound, but something inside me cracked softly, like thin ice shifting. Serena didn't look up. She locked her phone and said, "It's for the best, Val. Everyone agrees. Everyone." I looked at both of them, the room suddenly feeling heavy. My grandmother's warning echoed in my mind. They're preparing things without you. This wasn't confusion or a simple mistake. It was deliberate, planned, and carried out with an ease that treated me like an inconvenience. In that moment, I knew this wasn't oversight, it was intention. That night, after Serena liked the message removing me, I sat alone in my apartment with the wedding payments open on my laptop. Line after line showed the deposits, lighting changes, catering schedules, floral installments, every one of them paid by me. It looked less like event planning and more like a record of how I had quietly been erased. For years, I convinced myself they didn't mean to take advantage, that I was helping, that I was making things easier. But looking at those payments, I finally understood. They weren't depending on me, they were draining me. My phone buzzed. Another update from Serena with a new seating chart. Mom wants my layout instead. No thank you. No recognition of the hours I put in. It was strange how quickly dismissiveness becomes normal. I closed my laptop before I could reconsider anything. My hands were steady. My breathing was even. Something inside me had settled. I opened a private message to my mother and typed 2 words, "Great choice." My reflection appeared in the window, calm, composed, someone stepping out of a role she never chose. Then I wrote the second line, "Then you'll be free of my payments too. No explanations, no conflict, just clear information." I pressed send. The silence after felt meaningful. I reopened my laptop with purpose. One by one, I reviewed every contract. Catering, lighting, venue, coordination, decor, rentals. Every agreement was under my name, every approval tied to my account. The authority they assumed was theirs had always been mine. I didn't need to debate them. I just needed to stop supporting them. I emailed each vendor separately, citing agreement clauses and timelines. "We will not be moving forward. Please cancel the pending invoice. Do not process further payments. No mentions of family issues." This wasn't retaliation. It was clear boundaries. As I worked, a calm settled in the room. Not triumph, not anger, just alignment. Around midnight, there was a soft knock. My grandmother stood there, looking smaller in the hallway light. She came inside and sat on my couch, smoothing her skirt the way she did when preparing to say something difficult. "I know they hurt you," she said quietly, "but you don't have to carry them anymore." Her voice shook, and that alone uncovered something in me. She had been treated the same way, used, overlooked. She understood what it meant to care for people who didn't protect you. I took her hand. "I'm done carrying them. I'm choosing us now." She nodded, eyes bright with something like pride. Before leaving, she whispered, "When they come home, we'll be ready." For the first time, I believed her. The morning they were set to return felt unusually calm, as if the city itself paused. My grandmother sat at the kitchen table, folding and unfolding the same napkin, glancing at the window. I made tea to keep my hands busy, the steam warming my face as everything settled deeper. This was the day things changed. I checked my phone again. No messages from my family. Not even a flight update. Of course, in their minds, I existed only when needed. But today, they would need something different. "Are you sure you're ready?" my grandmother asked. I nodded, more than ready. We reached the airport early, my grandmother holding my arm as we walked. She didn't say much, but her presence grounded me, steady, warm, honest. Each step felt like reclaiming ground I hadn't realized I lost. Our attorney Mason met us near arrivals. Calm and organized, he opened a folder. "Everything is prepared. We'll wait until they exit baggage claim. They'll likely speak to you first. Expect their version of events." "Their version?" I said. He nodded. People who rely on you rarely prepare for the moment you stop giving. My grandmother squeezed my hand. Movement near the doors caught our attention. Passengers filtered out. Then I saw them. Marissa leading, posture rigid, face sharp. Serena followed with an oversized suitcase, and Damon behind her, focused on his phone. Instinct tugged at me for a second. The old urge to help, to keep peace, to stay small. But that belonged to a version of me that no longer existed. My mother saw us first. Confusion crossed her face, then irritation. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "You didn't need to pick us up. We already have a ride." "We're not here to pick you up," I said. Serena rolled her eyes. "Then what?" "You're here to apologize for ruining our wedding plans," my grandmother began, inhaling sharply. Mason stepped forward. "Good morning. My name is Mason Hill. I represent Valentina and her grandmother in a matter that needs your immediate attention." Color drained from my mother's face. Serena blinked quickly, breathing uneven. "This must be a joke," Marissa said, forcing a laugh. "A lawyer?" "For what?" my mother asked. "For the financial exploitation regarding wedding-related funds," Mason replied evenly, handing her an envelope, "and the attempt to use your mother's savings without consent." My mother grabbed the document but didn't open it. "We didn't exploit anyone. Everything was agreed. Valentina offered to help. She always does." "That's the problem," I said quietly. "You expected it not because I wanted to, but because you refused to see me as anything other than a source of solutions." Serena stepped toward me, pointing. "You abandoned your responsibilities. You ruined everything. All you had to do was stay out of the way. Stay out of the way." My grandmother's voice cut through, firm but trembling. "You told her not to come. You told my granddaughter she wasn't welcome at a wedding she paid for." Serena faltered, her glare weakening. My mother turned to my grandmother. "Mother, stop being dramatic. This is a family matter." "No," Grandma said firmly, chin lifted. "Family doesn't discard one person to elevate another." A small crowd had gathered, travelers slowing to watch as the tension thickened. My mother, uncomfortable with the tension, flushed and glanced around as if public humiliation were my fault. "We didn't do anything wrong," Marissa insisted. "You're twisting this." Mason opened another folder. "These are copies of the messages sent to Valentina, including the one uninviting her. And this," he held up another page, "documents the payments she made." I watched my mother's eyes flicker, jaw tightening. Mason handed Serena a separate envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Notice regarding the attempted redirection of your grandmother's emergency fund," Mason replied, calm. "Valentina has been monitoring it, as she is the only family member who never withdrew from it." Serena held the envelope like it might burn her. My mother turned to me, voice sharp. "How dare you involve strangers in our private affairs?" "You made it private when you pushed me out," I said, "and legal when you tried to access Grandma's savings because you ran out of mine." Damon, who had been quiet, spoke. "Look, can we calm down? This is being blown out of proportion." "Blown out of proportion," my grandmother repeated. "You encouraged Serena to ask for more money, more support, things she never earned." Damon's jaw tightened. "That's not," Serena snapped at him. "Just stop talking." Her posture slumped, her bravado fading. She no longer looked like the glamorous bride she envisioned, but a child caught doing something selfish. My mother's hand shook as she returned the documents to Mason. "We can fix this. Just tell us what you want, Valentina." I inhaled steadily. "I want you to understand I'm done. Done being your safety net. Done paying for consequences you never learn from. Done pretending we're a family when you treat me like a mistake." Silence hung between us. Serena whispered, "So you're punishing us?" "No," I said. "I'm protecting myself." Mason stepped in. "There are steps you must follow. Respond to these notices within the time frame. Until resolved, you're not permitted to access the grandmother's accounts." Marissa finally opened the envelope. Her eyes scanned the first line, and fear replaced her indignation. This could get us in trouble," she whispered. "It already did," my grandmother replied. My mother looked between us, her confidence fading. "Valentina, please, we're family." I met her gaze, steady. Family is supposed to protect each other, not just themselves. For the first time, she had no response. Damon shifted uneasily. Serena wiped smudged mascara. Edward, silent until now, stepped forward. "I'm sorry, Val. We should have done better." It was the closest thing to an apology I heard from him. I nodded, accepting it without letting it excuse their actions. Mason gathered his folders. We're done here. My grandmother took my arm, grip steady. As we turned to leave, my mother called after me. Valentina, what are we supposed to do now? I paused, met her eyes. Figure it out, I said, the same way you expected me to. And I walked away, not out of anger, but out of freedom. The first real freedom I'd felt in years. In the following weeks, everything settled quietly but permanently. The notices Mason filed advanced, and my grandmother's savings were finally protected. No more borrowing, no more disguised family pressure. I visited her often. We sat in her garden while she trimmed roses, as she had when I was a child. But now she looked lighter, like someone who'd been holding her breath for years without knowing it. The wedding plans dissolved almost overnight. Vendors confirmed canceled payments. Messages trickled in, angry, embarrassed, silent. I didn't respond, not out of spite, but because there was nothing left to say. One afternoon, my grandmother rested her hand over mine. You saved both of us, she whispered. I didn't feel like a savior. I felt like someone stepping into her own life. I applied for a volunteer role at a local advocacy center, supporting older adults, people like my grandmother who need protection before anyone notices. For the first time, I wasn't fixing chaos. I was choosing purpose. I used to think love meant carrying everything for people who claim they need you. Real love, the kind that heals instead of drains, never asks you to disappear so others can shine. My family's choices didn't define me. My boundaries did. Walking away wasn't the end of something broken. It was the start of something honest. If this story resonates, share your experience in the comments. Tell me where you're listening from and subscribe to catch the next story.